This is Brother, Beyond the Craft, with Neil Thomas Allen and Taz Bachu.
Good afternoon and welcome to Brother Beyond the Craft. My name is Neil Thomas Allen and I am joined this afternoon by my esteemed 900-foot colleague, Jack Saunders. Jack, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, thank you. It's been a good and interesting week. On one hand, I've had confirmation that after our chat with Scott that I'll be joining an AMD council, which is always fun. But on the other side, unfortunately, we lost the PGM of Essex this week to cancer. So it's been a big loss to our province. It's been fantastic, especially for the new and young Masons clubs. But apart from that, I've had a fun week.
Fabulous stuff, fabulous stuff. And I'm also joined this afternoon by our producer-in-chief, Mr. Josh Worley. Josh, how the devil are you, sir?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm coming to you for the first time in my office space in my new house.
So this will be the office.
This will be the office. There's absolutely nothing in here. It's just 4 white walls at the moment and me and a can of Kronenberg. So
fantastic.
Yeah. So I've got another afternoon filled with decorating and painting and getting everything ready for moving in on Friday with the wife. So yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to this afternoon. So gents, thank you so much for joining me to deep dive into the Masonic Knights Templar. We are joined by this podcast's this episode's expert, who is the great first herald of the KT, Eminent Knight David Tuke. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you, and I hope you guys are okay at your end.
All good, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and speaking about the Masonic Order of the Knights Templar. I believe, Josh, you have the esteemed honour of asking the first question this afternoon.
Yes, I do, very much so. So again, David, thank you very much for joining us. I guess the best place to start, both Jack and I are newbies. We are complete novices. We are not members of the KT. I know that Neil obviously is. So you've got a real live audience here of people that are completely kind of new to the order. So I guess the best place to start would be by asking you for a little bit of background about the story of Knights Templar and, the story that the order is built upon.
No problem, sir. I'll begin quite honestly. The start of the order was in 1118 AD, when a band of warrior monks decided to protect pilgrims on the way to the Holy Land and Jerusalem against the ravages of the raiders and thieves of that time. Now, they were given sanctuary by King Baldwin on the Mount, Temple Mount. Here they formed the first place of the Knights Templar. Temple Mount, Knights Templar, guardians of the Christian faith. Now, during the times, we are linked from modern times to the medieval times by a ceremony which is symbolically linked to the initiation of a Knights Templar. We go through the ceremony exactly the same, or we like to believe it's exactly the same, as what any knight who joined the order would have had to have gone through to regain the high esteem of being called a Knight Templar. Now, we have a well-informed web page headed by our most eminent and supreme Great Prior, Paul Raymond Clements. I would advise you to have a look at that. It is absolutely fantastic and well organized, particularly the speeches he made at Christmas. He actually leads from the front. In this modern age, we've got the history of the Knights, which you can read and you can sort out yourselves. But I would think as young men that you are, you'd be more interested in the future of the Knights Templar. We are modern and we are progressive. If there's anything else you would like to believe and listen to, I can tell you. Come back to me.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, obviously, everybody's heard in some respect about the Knights Templar. It's normally from some, you know, way off American film where they kind of glorify it all. But then I suppose we get that with Freemasonry generally. But it's really interesting to hear that actually, you know, as far as we know, you're still going through that same kind of initiation ceremony that the actual Knights Templar went through, which is, you know, that's fascinating. I know that's been, though I'm not a member, I know that's something that I've been really interested in. It's an order that I'm really keen to look into in the future. So no, that's fantastic.
Well, yeah, it is fantastic. When you decide to apply to join, then yes, you will go through that ceremony, which I can explain later on, because you'll be asking me quite a few more questions and answers. But at the moment, just to fill you in on how widespread the Knights Templar is, we have at the moment near enough 500 preceptories worldwide, and 27, maybe 28 other preceptories that are not linked to our province. So we're well worldwide. We go back to Hong Kong, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, India, South Africa, Transvaal, Zimbabwe, up to Cyprus, Malta, Slovenia and Channel Islands, and across to South America and the Caribbean islands. We presently have in England a good number, 32 provinces. So we have a good area to cover, and there's plenty of opportunity for those who want to make knighthood.
David, like a lot of the orders that come out of Mark Mason's sort, there's always something that's quite unique and interesting, particularly about the different degrees. Can you pick out something that you would say is unique to Knights Templar?
Oh, most certainly. What is unique to Knights Templar is the ceremony of a knight. It is absolutely unique, and when performed, it is a lasting impression upon its new members. I can briefly outline it, daren't give away too many secrets. It would spoil it for you two gentlemen when you wish to join. Now, what we go through is the candidate becomes a pilgrim, and it's about his journey from a humble pilgrim to becoming an esteemed Knights Templar. Now, during the ceremony, he performs figuratively a crusade. Now, everything is explained to him. Every part of the ceremony is explained with its own mystery to the young knight, right through to he becomes actually a knight himself. Now, the ceremony to become a complete knight is split into two parts. The first part's the Knights Templar. The second part, he joins the Knights of Malta. But first, before joining the Knights of Malta, he is taken into an anteroom and he has to take the degree which is conferred upon him as a Knight of St. Paul. He then is asked if he can join the Knights of Malta, voted upon, and thereon he comes to be a Knight of Malta. Now that ceremony is totally different in every way. It explains the full history of the Order of the Knights of Malta. Very, very spectacular, very colourful, and very, very knowledgeable, informative. And I'm sure you two gentlemen would enjoy that.
One thing I was going to say, actually, that I don't think people really realise that there's actually, as you quite rightly said, there's 3 degrees in the order. And there's this beautiful, so the order, the degree of St. Paul is this like tiny 5 to 10 minute degree that you take. But actually it's a beautiful bit of ritual. I think it's fantastic. I remember when I did it at my Mason's Hall, I think that was just because it was just a small little tidbit. but it was such a nice bit of ritual. I think that was probably one of my favourite things about the, of taking that degree.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting from what you said that the two ceremonies are completely different. So you got the KT, which is your skeleton, and you're learning. And this is certainly personal, from my personal experience, that I found the KT was the skeleton, and the Knights Malta was very much the fleshy, nice background story that goes around it to make this complete order. And it's a fantastic blend of the two.
It is indeed. But there's one little part that always intrigued me when I took that little part, as you call it, and it was a very little part, but there was one part that stuck in my mind when I joined. And you all wear the craft aprons, and you have a belt that holds that apron to your torso. Have you noticed the little link that fastens it? The S belt?
Yep.
Do you know what it is?
Is it a serpent? Is it like
That is correct.
Yeah.
And that, if you join the Knights, you'll find out about that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the little parts that I noticed when I joined. And I thought, my word, look at this. And it's still here today.
Oh, that's really interesting. Actually, that's one of the things that I've loved about exploring some of the other orders, is that actually they do all seem to interweave in some regard, and you will start to pick up little things from the other orders that suddenly make things in craft make sense a little bit more. So that's something that I have really enjoyed. It's happened in quite a few instances where things are you start to connect the dots between things.
That is correct, because our Masonic life in our Masonry, it is a journey that we set upon. And as you go through this life, all things fit together. There's a bigger picture at the end. And at the end of it, I have never come to that end yet. I'm 72 years of age, been in Masonry now for over 40 years, and I've still not connected with every facet that I've been joined. I'm in quite a few orders, but the Knights Templar is the one that is most intriguing. The knowledge, I can't learn it all. I never will. I never will, because it's so vast. I enjoy going to the ceremonies. They're absolutely fantastic. Still get butterflies when I go through the door of any Knights Templar lodge room. It's absolutely fabulous. So,
I think that's a key point in why I think, if you truly enjoy Freemasonry, you'll get that feeling every time you go to either a preceptory, a lodge, a council, a conclave, you name it. And I think if you still get that, certainly I get that about the Red Cross, because that's my favourite order, right? I love the KT, but the Red Cross is like my personal favourite, and I get that feeling every time I see the appendant orders, or I see,
yes, I'm also a member of the Red Cross of Constant, and it is truly a nice order. And once again, it's a Christian order like ours is. And they're closely linked, and parts of the ceremony you can relate to the names, but not the actual ceremonies, because they're totally different. But
so on that point, and this is a great segue. So you've mentioned that it's a Christian order as well. So I wonder if you can tell me, as a candidate, how do you qualify to join the KT?
First of all, sir, you must be a Christian and believe in the Holy Trinity. You must be a member of the craft, which you are. Obviously, you are a member of the Knights anyway. But you also must be a fully subscribing member to the Holy Royal Arch. You also have to be recommended by an existing Knight of the Order. So you can recommend your two colleagues. You'll be happy to do so. I would take it. Yep.
Neil's always happy to introduce.
I
Neil
may
is
as well
always
be
happy
on
to
commission.
It's what he's known for.
I may as well be on commission. Cool. Thank you for letting us know that. Now, I think, Jack, your next question is probably the most important of this whole discussion, to be honest with you.
I think it's one of the things that I think potentially attracts candidates to the Knights Templar is the Regalia. For those that aren't aware of it or know what it's like, can you give us a bit of a description, please?
I can indeed. Yes. Again, you could see it on the website, but I will tell you what it is. We wear a tabard of white with a red cross on the forefront. We also have a sash of the order. We also have the medals of the order. And we wear a belt and frog. The frog, if you don't know, is where you put your sword that you wear. You then wear a cloak which bears the insignia of the Red Cross on the left shoulder. These are presented to you when you join the knighthood. Now, when they present you with your regalia, there's an absolute story to it and a full explanation of every single item that you wear. You also wear upon your head, sir, a red cap with the insignia of a cross. And the whole attire is absolutely splendid. Absolutely splendid. A plethora of colour. And when you see it in Great Priory, all that colour and all that pageantry, it definitely has what we call today the wow factor. Now,
so can I ask, just personal preference, I'm asking all you guys, your Masonic Centre, do Knights Templar units meet, or do they meet somewhere separate, for example?
They do meet at Chelmsford.
So, but I guess my main Masonic Centre is my Mother Lodge in Suffolk. Is quite unique in that it owns its own building.
Right.
So it has, it meets there, which is Waveney Lodge. And then I believe there's also a Ram Lodge that meets there. And that's it. That's all that meets in that building. So it's very, very unique, but also quite provincial.
So the reason I was going to say, the reason I asked is that, so I remember going to Mark Mason's Hall for a craft meeting when I was still an entered apprentice. And of course, all of the other orders meet in the bar and you'll see everyone with their different coloured ties on for the different orders. And then you'll walk past a lodge room on a different floor and they'll be having a KT meeting and people will be getting changed into all of this extravagant regalia, which is certainly a shock the first time you see it. Certainly for me, I think the first time I saw that, I was kind of like, wow, I need to get involved with that. It's absolutely amazing.
For myself, my own mother lodges, craft lodges, no, I don't meet Knights Templar in their buildings, but I travel. And up here in the Lake District where I live, beautiful part of England.
Beautiful part of the world.
We've had a sunny day today, thankfully. My mother preceptory is in Carlisle. So I would be considered, I think, along a few more of us, the northern area of the whole province, all the provinces. And Whitehaven, there is another one further down the coast. And Keswick is the nearest one to me. So I travel to other buildings to attend Knights Templar meetings. My main route is down into Lancashire, where I travel a journey there and a journey back. And the shortest distance that I do is 100 miles round trip to Kendal and stretching down to Liverpool, stretching down right into the Whittle, into just the northern reaches of Cheshire, sometimes clocking up 300 miles for a visit. And I thoroughly enjoy it, and I would do it every day of the week if I could possibly fit them in. Yeah.
So I think something that's very, very important before we kind of jump into the next question, just while we're speaking about regalia, when somebody wants to join the KT, I think one thing I think is very important that they're made aware of at the very beginning is actually regalia cost, because we've spoken about several orders in this series where we've said, well, the nice thing about it is that the regalia is very minimal. So, for example, the AMD, you've got just a tie until you get all 5 degrees. But yeah, I wonder if you can talk about very quickly the kind of average cost of your KT kit, and then kind of some of the other policies and systems put in place by Great Priory to help people out with that.
Yes, as you well know, sir, that the Knights Templar help one another. There's sometimes on offer Knights Templar pre-owned regalia, which is of good report. It's handed back to the preceptories when a knight moves forward, maybe becomes a preceptor. And this can be, if you like, recycled, or there's sometimes availability within various provinces where they have some lady who can make and manufacture regalia. But being absolutely fair and personal about it, if you buy a good quality regalia, it's yours, and it's going to rest you. You're going to use it for the rest of your Masonic life.
Yeah.
So buy good quality. It's an outlay, but when you work it out over a number of years, it's so cheap. It doesn't really matter. You'll get a sword. There's all sorts on the market, but buy a good quality one. You'll need it if you join the famous bodyguard anyway. So there you go. And that's another
exactly. And just to kind of on average, what's the kind of candidate looking at in terms of price for the full set of regalia, would you say, just as an estimate?
Well, if he was going top end, it would possibly be £300.
Yeah.
Divided down over the years, and it's not a lot of money. If he can get
Exactly.
some pre-owned, it's usually, well, in Lancashire, we have a fantastic warden of regalia who recycles for us. And it can be a donation to the order to go to our charity. So it's fair all round, and knights will rally round and say, well, look, I've had a new, and they'll give freely to a new candidate. It's a wonderful order, and you know, that's the way it is. And it is
yeah,
really
definitely.
fantastic.
And of course, for people that are either watching this or listening to this now, I think it's just important just to take into consideration that kind of outlay when you're thinking about joining the KT. As David quite rightly said, there's an officer in each province called the Warden of Regalia, whose job is to help out that kind of outlay. But again, it's something to worth thinking about, because as I said before, when we've spoken about the different orders and stuff, certainly, Josh, Jack, I'm sure when you joined your Marks, your OSMs of the world, you didn't really think about 40, 50 quid for an apron. But certainly I think if someone said to you, look, 350 quid up front, you'd probably want to know first, right?
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, that's again another thing that has been interesting with joining other orders, is that you do find yourself suddenly asking the question about regalia. Obviously, when you join craft, that's the last thing you're thinking about, because you just don't have a clue what you're doing. But with other orders, that that is something that you're conscious of, and you have sometimes it's part of the appeal. You get some orders that are quite easygoing, like OSM, where it is more or less just a duel. And you get other orders that are a little bit more involved, like KT, where you will be expecting to turn up in some finery and expect a bit of financial outlay. But, it is interesting that is something that you need to consider. That, and the fact that you need to think how you're going to carry it around. So are you going to put it all in one case? Are you going to have a couple of cases? Are you going to go for a half case? These are the kind of things that you have to consider.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, but we all had the same outlay, even though at a different time. So things were slightly cheaper when I bought mine, but prices go up and wages go up. Now, I find that the regalia, mine, is what I bought new. I had to upgrade it when I became a preceptor. So my regalia was passed down to someone else, which I give freely to the next candidate, which was marvellous. So this can happen. We don't usually have a big input of candidates. Sometimes you might have 2 or 3. So you're really not looking at a meeting every month. My preceptories meet, the ones that I'm members of, quite a few, possibly 3 times a year. So your regalia will last you, unless you're like me and you travel to all the preceptories whenever possible. And it needs clean now and again, but you look after it. So you buy a decent case, you can buy a soft case, which I found a lot better than the solid one, because it takes up less room and it's a lot lighter to carry. Which
yeah, I've got a hard case for KT, and it was the biggest regret I ever made.
Yeah,
it is so heavy, and getting it on the underground is a nightmare.
Yeah, well, there's different cases. I now, sir, have one that's like a case that you would take on holiday, and I fold my regalia very carefully and place it in the case, and it's got little wheels on the bottom. But when I pull it up the steps to go on the platform at Euston to go to Great Priory, it's a lot easier. So yeah, there's different ways. So the case isn't a big expense.
No, and it's also worth mentioning as well that when you get the Knights of Malta degree, there is a separate set of regalia that you are expected to get as well. However, you can just wear your Knights Templar regalia at priories as well.
Yes, you can, but eventually you wouldn't feel out of it, because it never happens. You never feel out of it. But I think you would want to join in the fullest extent of it, and you would want to be like everybody else, and you would eventually aspire to get in that. And once again, it can be handed down, or you can buy it, some that's made locally, or buy the good stuff and keep it and use it for the rest of your days. So that's the way
Exactly.
I feel.
So talk to me about, who do you think, or what type of person is the perfect candidate for the Knights Templar?
Well, the candidate for, I've already explained that. First of all, he's got to be a Christian and believe in the Trinity, and obviously the member of the craft, and a fully paid subscribing member of the Holy Royal Arch. But anyone who I would want to recommend or invite to become a member of any of my Knights Templar preceptories, I think it would be a Masonic man who seeks knowledge in Masonry, has a commitment to the order, and would enjoy the caring, sharing nature of a true Knights, join in the activities and the ceremonies wherever possible, and enjoy the camaraderie that it offers. That's the type of man I would want to join, of good recommending. I would do my homework and check to see that he was of that nature, rather than just wanting to join because he's seen Braveheart or something silly like that. But that's the man I would look at, a progressive young man who has a lot to offer and going to attend and pick the bones up and say, right, I want some of this. And that's the type of guy with enthusiasm that I would look for. Happy with that? You two guys?
Thank you, David. After that fantastic explanation of who you would like to join the order, we now come to the point in our show where we ask our guest to give us the hard sell, really, and give us that elevator pitch in 30 seconds to tell us why. Try and convince me and Josh why we need to join.
Right, when do I start?
Right, so we have a leaderboard. We have an official leaderboard.
We do. Bear just a second. I'm going to make sure I've got the stopwatch ready.
I was going to say, we'll throw over to producer Josh.
Here's our leaderboard thus far.
Yeah.
So I think you can see that actually, can't you? I think
Yes,
that's very clear. So at the minute, at the top of the leaderboard is Red Cross of Constantine. They had 30 seconds on the dot, and they were 0.17 of a second over. You then have OSM right down at the bottom here with 45 seconds. I don't know what was going on there, but you know, they've got so much to say about OSM. So, I mean, where would you like to come? I mean, obviously top, but where would you be happy?
No, I'm a Knights Templar. I want to lead from the front like our...
Love it. Love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, let me get the stopwatch and make sure we're ready. So, okay, David, when you're ready, I'll count you in. 3, 2, 1, go.
If you wish to join the Knights Templar, think about the great things you will experience. The splendour, pageantry, the feeling of well-being with like-minded brothers. Look forward to the future, modern knights, be part of something great, exciting and rewarding. There is a place for you with us. Thanks for listening, and God bless you all.
Okay. Okay.
That was good. That was really good.
That was a really solid effort. Okay then. Right. How do you think you did? I think is the first question.
Depends how fast or slow your stopwatch is.
Right. Well, what I can say is this is an interesting one. So you did it, David, in 29 seconds. 0.9. So you're at the top of the leaderboard, having under the 30-second mark. That was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic. Leading from the front.
Yes, well, I'll tell you, I'm delighted with that because my eminent prior for Lancashire, which is David Harry Gallia, will be delighted because, like him, he leads from the front. So it's a win-win situation all round. Thank you very much.
There you go. That was a fantastic effort. Well done. Well done.
We didn't think anybody would get closer. So that is outstanding. I think whoever we record with next, whatever order it is, have got some extremely difficult boots to step into to beat that. So amazing. Well, listen, David, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It's been a real pleasure to jump into the KT with you. I think that we have covered enough ground to create a real hook and a real attraction to this order without giving away too much, which is, I can't thank you enough for joining us to help us out with that. So yeah, Jack, Josh, what are your overall thoughts on things?
To be honest, as someone who's interested in history and as someone who actually studied the Crusades at A level in history, I already knew that this was an order that I was going to have to join at some point in my life. And so I was kind of already halfway there. But I think David has fleshed out the bones a little bit for me. And I think the thing that did it for me was hearing that, again, as far as you're aware, it is the same ceremony that they would have taken, back in the 12th century when they were going on crusade. And that's fantastic to me. That's the kind of thing that really floats my boat. So I'm in. if I will be accepted, I'm in.
Well done.
What about you, Jack?
Few people have actually asked me to join before, and like you said before, David, they offered me a Regalia as well. Thrown in with the deal, they was happy to pass that on to me. But I've not had the opportunity to yet, but it's definitely up on list high to join.
Excellent.
Well, guys, I'm sure you'd like to join me in thanking David for joining us this afternoon. David, again, thank you so much. And thank you to all who have decided to listen to this podcast on your Spotify's of the world, your iTunes podcast, or anywhere else you take in podcasts, or if you're watching this on our YouTube channel. However, Josh, is there a single pane of glass place where you can find all Brother episodes?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Neil. There is indeed. So you can find all of the Brother episodes online at brothermasonic.com, our spanking new website. You can also find all of the videos that we've uploaded, which will be all of the Brother Beyond the Craft episodes. And Jack is also doing a really fantastic job of going back over some of our Brother Extra episodes and putting them onto YouTube as well. So you'll be able to see those popping up every now and again. Obviously, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. And David also mentioned a lot of the information about Knights Templar you can find online at the Mark Masons Hall website. And we're really grateful to Mark Masons Hall for all the work that they are doing and for helping us to produce this podcast. You can find out more information about them and about KT at markmasonshall.org. Excellent
stuff. Well, guys, this takes us to the end of our deep dive into the KT on Brother Beyond the Craft. We will be back very soon with our next order. We are brother, you are too, and thank you so much for tuning in.
This is Brother Beyond the Craft with Neil Thomas Allen and Taz Bachu. This was a Brother production in association with Mark Mason's Hall, presented by Neil Thomas Allen and Taz Bachu, with Jack Saunders, produced by Joshua Worley. You can follow us on social media at Brother Masonic on Facebook and Twitter.